Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guest, Beverly Hills Physician Dr. Ryan Kotton, who's here to share with us Health Traits Among Billionaires. So have you ever wondered about the health tips that keep the ultra-wealthy so healthy? Well, today's guest is going to share with us just that. So Dr. Ryan Kotton is a world-renowned, highly awarded physician who's been at the forefront of the concierge model for more than a decade. Recognizing that our traditional healthcare system is broken, Dr. Kotton is one of the few physicians willing to be a disruptor in healthcare, trailblazing a new model. As clinical chief at Cedars-Sinai in the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, as well as assistant professor at UCLA School of Medicine and Cedars-Sinai, Dr. Kotton understands the ins and outs of the traditional medical system, but has the guts and the determination not to be bound by it. Dr. Ryan Kotton's boutique private practice, Kotton MD, is a one-of-a-kind global concierge practice, with patients around the world who travel and lead active lifestyles. Dr. Kotton coordinates care for planned medical needs as well as unexpected emergencies. So let's welcome to the show, Dr. Ryan Kotton.
Thank you, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kotton. It's such an honor to have you here and to talk about this. So what are some of the most common behavioral patterns you notice in the ultra-wealthy that are different from the rest of us?
Sure. That's a great question, and I get that asked a lot. The ultra successful and ultra wealthy individuals, they are fantastic advocates for themselves. I think that's one of the key differentiators that they have going for themselves that's different than the general public. They're used to being in control. They're used to being in charge. They're used to owning the situation. And they tend to do the same with their health. They are constantly seeking to have more data about their health so that they can control it. They're not passive in this process. And I think that's probably the number one differentiator for them.
Well, that's really fascinating to understand. And I know that you've kind of taken the medical field by storm, especially with the concierge model of medicine that you do. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about that with us.
Sure. So in concierge medicine, the basic premise is that I partner with my patients in a more active, engaging role than they typically have in a regular healthcare setting. We have the luxury of time to spend, a typical visit is about an hour to an hour and a half. So we're really able to dive deep into creating programs of care and specific treatment models for patients that meet their needs. We're not following some set algorithm, some set formula of what insurance is dictating. We're meeting the patient where they are. And I think that's so important because, and it doesn't have to just be in a concierge model, the general public can do this with their doctors too. If they ask informed questions, it's just the idea of being proactive, coming up with goals that you have, much like you might have, New Year's resolutions or financial goals for your business. What are your health goals? And that's something that I focus on a daily basis with my patients, getting ahead of the curve and partnering with them, giving them the tools so that they can truly be active and track their health, monitor it so that we can make micro changes over time.
Do you find that when a patient comes in to see you, they're maybe saying, well, I've got this going on, maybe back pain or something else, and it really is systemic of something other that's going on? So that's why you're taking the time that you're taking with them?
That's very much the case. I'd say that 90+% of the causes of medical symptoms are often due to stress and how our body is responding to stress. That's a large factor when it comes to pain. When you dive deeper, we're often able to find that it's multifactorial. There's no single cause. And by listening to a patient, you'll actually they'll give me the answers. They'll tell me what they're doing. So it's I don't just ask, okay, did you strain your back? Did you lift something heavy? Did you fall? I ask my patients, well, what's going on in your life? Have there been changes? Are there increased stresses at home? Are there stresses at work? have you not been sleeping? Sleep is one of those key factors that impacts our health. I'd say sleep, nutrition, and exercise are probably the three key things that when those are in the wrong ratio, our health is often impaired.
Well, I've done a little research on you, and I've heard you say that the ultra wealthy patients value their time differently than average people do. So, how does our view of time have an impact on our health and wellness?
Yeah, being proactive with time investment is crucial. The wealthy individuals really understand how important it is to invest on the front end of things. They are willing to spend, and their time is extremely valuable. They're willing to spend hours talking to me, discussing and really learning about their health. They don't just ask questions. They come in with journal articles and we debate and we discuss. And they don't just follow my instructions either. They want to spend the time to really understand why they're making certain changes. It helps them be compliant. When we spend time in advance planning for potential complications down the road, they realize it's going to be a time saving to them later. If you're in crisis, if there's an emergency, if you've planned, you're traveling to Europe, you're going to be in some remote destination. If you've spent the time up front to plan to have contingencies and interventions, God forbid something goes wrong, it pays off, and that's what they do with me. And they're able to leverage their time, so they do a lot themselves. But you'll notice individuals that are hyper successful will have multiple assistants. They'll have someone that manages their real estate, someone that manages their finances with them, and they'll employ someone like me that can help manage and direct their health, so that we are ahead of the curve and that we have thought of everything. They trust people, but they vet them as well.
How powerful it is to have somebody that is a partner with you in your health.
Yeah, I think that, and you don't have to be wealthy to be able to have a partner in your health. I think everyone can go to their doctors. Most physician visits are typically 5 to 10 minutes long. But if you prepare in advance for that visit by writing down questions, perhaps emailing the doctor's office in advance, saying these are the key things that I really want to get out of this, however much time the doctor has available for you, if you plan in advance and ask for things, more likely you're going to be prepared, and that physician's going to be able to help you more. So these strategies that the wealthy utilize can really be utilized by the general public as well. You don't have to be rich to get good health care. They are just better at advocating for themselves and pushing for things.
Really like the secret tip there.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell us about biohacking? I've heard so much about it, and I understand that you know a great deal about this. So, what is it? And is it something that we can use today?
100%. So biohacking, when you think about hacking, it's accessing something that you weren't supposed to access. That's kind of what we think about hacking. And biohacking is just that. We have a biological code, we have a framework, we have an operating system, if you would, for the human being. So biohacking is finding ways to tap into our operating system and tricking it or changing it or causing our body to adapt and do things differently. There's a few ways that we can biohack, and it's become a very exciting and trendy term. But the concept is we can modify the way our biology acts, the way our body works. Things such as changing and modifying data entry, sleep, nutrition, exercise. I think are those three elements that we can biohack the most easiest, and we can use metrics to track how our body's functioning, making changes, and track to see if those changes are impactful. Many of us are using things like wearables, different rings that we sleep with, watches, phones that can track the data of how many steps we're taking, what of our sleep do we have. We can track our glucose levels now. There's little devices you can put on your shoulder that measure continuous glucose. So by gathering more data, we now can do things in our lives to tweak that data. And a lot of individuals have taken to do it themselves, kind of like, do it yourself biohacking, where they're monitoring their body and then implementing kind of test changes like, okay, great. If I go to bed a little bit earlier, do I feel more rested in the morning? There's more of a scientific model now, and we know that that by extending sleep, we are clearing out senescent cells. We are using that time of sleep to basically get rid of all the junk in the brain and filter the system so it can function. Back in the days, we used to think that sleep was something that was, for weak people. People would brag at how many hours. I remember during my residency, I would probably sleep 3 hours max, and there wasn't time to sleep more. But mistakes happened. We now know through kind of self-experimenting that sleep is so much more important. So biohacking is collecting that data, whatever the tools are that we use, and there's many of them, to collect the data and then make changes. For monitoring your glucose, for example, when you're monitoring your glucose, you might track your data and feel sometimes during the day, gosh, I feel really tired, I feel exhausted, I feel drained. And you can look at your phone and see, oh, gosh, that makes sense. My glucose level is below 50. I might be hypoglycemic. Maybe I need to alter the pattern in which I'm taking food or having proteins versus carbohydrates. The general public is very familiar with, these GLP-1 medications now, like Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro. There's all these meds. That's kind of a biohack. So I'd say, a large part of the population is using these medications to trick the brain into feeling that we are satiated, that we are no longer hungry, delaying gastric emptying. That's a biohack to change our system with a drug to make us feel different. I think those are biohacks that are pretty cool. This morning when I was in the cold plunge, I go in the cold plunge in the morning for about 5 minutes at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it shocks the system. It gives it a wake up call. It says, "Hey, listen, let's turn things on. Let's start things going." That's a biohack. It's tweaking the environment to be able to impact change and affect the way our system works.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Beverly Hills physician Dr. Ryan Kotton in regards to health traits among billionaires. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you an author, speaker, or expert who is looking for more publicity? Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up for free interview requests from shows looking for guests. Radio Guest List is the #1 free booking resource for radio, podcasts, and TV talk shows who are looking for experts like you right now. Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up today to get the visibility you deserve.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special. When you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
It's one thing to become attached to your perfect home, but what do you do when that home becomes attached to you? A family in dire need of a fresh start, a mysterious house tied to the past. Buried deep within the foundation of the old Far Hill Manor lies a centuries-old secret. Dark forces or something stronger just waiting to be discovered. Caretaker, a supernatural thriller by breakout authors R.J. Halpert.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Mary Ann. We're here today with special guest, Beverly Hills physician Dr. Ryan Kotton, and he's here to share with us health traits among billionaires. My goodness, science is evolving so quickly. And I know you have all these inside secrets in regards to like the latest anti-aging and health advancements. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing a lot of individuals take advantage of things like peptides now. Peptides are strings of amino acids, basic proteins essentially, that can be either taken like for example of the GLP-1s that I was mentioning earlier. That's a peptide, but there's other peptides as well. There's peptides that can help increase building muscle, like BPC 157. There are growth hormone releasing hormones that can encourage the body to create more growth hormones. People are taking advantage of some of these kind of tricks to stimulate the body to create its own hormones that regulate function. So that I'm seeing a lot of, and people are really excited about it. Very safe treatments. I am seeing more and more individuals really track biological age. That's something that we're looking at now to assess the significant difference between chronological age in terms of how based on your birth date versus what are our cells really looking like? What is the cellular health? So by tracking that data, it's really exciting. People are making changes such as doing nutrition where we change the caloric intake. There've been some incredible studies on mice in terms of if you feed mice as much as they want to eat versus if you restrict their calories. And by restricting calories, we're finding that individual mice are living much longer. That's mapped over into people where we are doing caloric restrictions, or it's called intermittent fasting. And that's highly impactful for many individuals in terms of increasing their energy efficiency. And we believe it's also going to increase age. Another easy thing that people are implementing to improve longevity is the science of exercise. We now know that one of the number one indicators of aging and decline is loss of muscle mass, something that we call sarcopenia. And in my practice, we're measuring muscle mass for all of our patients on a regular basis, where they come in for their first visit and we're doing grip strength. We're seeing how strong is their grip, and we're quantifying that. We're checking the strength of their legs, their back muscles, their bone density. We're checking the skeletal muscle mass. And by doing resistive exercises at least 3 days a week, that means lifting weights. That means using resistive exercise bands, things like that, easy things that can be done anywhere by anyone. This is the kind of stuff that's making a huge impact on improved longevity.
Oh my goodness, there's so much that we can do now, and you've just got so much great information. If you were recommending 3 tests people over 50 get, what would those be?
Sure. So I think above and beyond the typical tests that we do at our annual doctor's visits, such as, a complete blood cell count and a basic metabolic profile and lipid panel, I think if there's something above and beyond that would be really useful is to get a micronutrient analysis that's basically looking at your cellular health and oxidative stress. So not oh, I'm stressed because I've had a tough day at work, but there's a blood test that we do that looks at the actual stress of cells. Are your individual cells getting the right nutrients they need to be strong and to be functioning? Is the mitochondria, which is basically the powerhouse of our cells that creates energy, is your mitochondria functioning efficiently? There's a singular test that looks at mitochondrial health, oxidative stress. It looks for toxins in our blood. So much exposure that we get from just chemicals in our foods and things of that nature can be measured in a singular blood test. A second test that I find incredibly valuable is doing a gut microbiome test. This is a stool sample. By analyzing your stool, we can see what kind of bacteria are in our gut. And so much of who we are is the residents that are inside of us, and that's our bacteria. We can see the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And from that, we get insights into terms of how we might modify our diet. And there might be small modifications that can make a massive impact in terms of our energy levels. And then I guess the third test that I would suggest is really to be mindful about our hearts. Cardiac coronary calcium scans have been around for a while. They're a very safe test that looks at the amount of plaque that builds up in the blood vessels around our hearts. And that's a test that, the number one killer of people is cardiac disease. And this is the type of thing that if we have the data in terms of are those coronary arteries compromised, we can make informed decisions about changing our habits to protect ourselves, to prevent strokes, and to prevent heart attacks.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Kotton, I've learned so much just from this conversation. Where can our listeners and our audience go to connect with you and be part of your community? And I understand that you only take new patients by referral. Is that correct?
That's correct. I have a small practice in terms of individuals that I partner with because I really dive deep with them. But I do consultations. We have our headquarters are in Beverly Hills. We see patients globally. And you can find me at my website, kottonmd.com. That's with a K, Kotton, Kotton like the fabric, but with a K. But Instagram is at Doc Kotton.
Well, Dr. Kotton, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Well, I really appreciate the time, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kotton. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about health traits among billionaires. Oh, it's so good to hear those inside secrets. If you'd like to connect with Dr. Kotton, you can at his website, kottonmd.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.